Have you ever wondered about films that never made it to the big screen, or even television and streaming services? Well then, the Screenplay Archaeology podcast may be for you. On our show, we take a look at scripts or teleplays that were never produced, or sometimes even early drafts that were significantly changed before or during shooting, as well as the stories behind why they never came to be. Good script or bad, we consider them all to be fair game. So if any of this interests you, then come check out Screenplay Archaeology.
The success of the first Planet of the Apes film led to 20th Century Fox wanting a follow-up immediately. Writer of the first film and creator of The Twilight Zone, Rod Serling, was asked back to write the screenplay, but after hearing his initial pitches for the sequel, the studio passed. Next, they reached out to the author of the novel that the first film was based on, Pierre Boulle. He had written a draft of a sequel script called Planet of the Men, in which Charlton Heston's character Taylor would lead a human uprising against the apes. However, his script was rejected also because the studio felt that it lacked the shock and surprise that the first film had blown audiences away with. Producer Mort Abrams came up with the idea to set the plot underneath the surface of the planet. Going off of the ending of the original with the image of the Statue of Liberty jutting out from the ground, Abrams figured that the rest of Manhattan must be hidden underground as well, so why not do a movie about that? The studio went and hired screenwriter Paul Dane to write the script, and they reached out to the director of the first film, Franklin J. Schaffner, to return. Schaffner, however, declined because he was busy directing a movie called Patton, which would become the eventual Best Picture winner, and he also won an Academy Award for Best Director for that film, so I guess he made the right choice. Star of the first film, Charlton Heston, did not want to return for this sequel, but after heavy negotiations with his agent, he agreed to return only if his character could be killed off and if his entire salary could go to charity. TV actor James Franciscus was hired to portray Brent, the hero of this film. And Ted Post, a director of mostly television, was brought on to direct. Heston's part was shot in just 8 days in February of 1969, and the film's budget was reduced from $5 million to just $2.5 million due to some recent flops from 20th Century Fox. However, the movie was a runaway success, grossing $19 million worldwide despite mostly mixed to negative reviews from critics. But what did we think of this movie? Friend of the pod, Jacob Strick, joins us once again to discuss this classic film. So let us control your mind as we prepare you to get ready to submerge yourself beneath the surface and worship the Alpha Omega Bomb along with Harris McCabe, Colin Shaw, and myself, Matt McGregor, because we watched the second movie in the Planet of the Apes film franchise. This is 1970s Ted Post classic, Beneath the Planet of the Apes. This is a show about franchises, science fiction movie franchises. You're listening to License to Watch.
You maniac! You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
Why in the world was this movie made?
Welcome back, everyone. We're going deep, going in for a deep dive today. We're going deep underneath the planet, the surface of the planet. We're going beneath the planet of the apes. That's right. Joining us today, friend and former guest. Are you a five-timer? Is this a five-timer?
Let's see.
Mr. Jacob Strick.
I want to say at least 4.
Is it?
Right?
Exorcist 3.
Yes. Batman Returns.
Did you do a Trek?
You know, we never got to Trek. I think that's what happened. Is the Trek the bottom fell out on that one.
But there was something else you did, right?
But if I could ever pick one again, it would have been 6. That movie just blew my mind. I watched it recently.
Yeah, it's good.
The Undiscovered Country?
Yeah, holy Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we did
MI2.
That's what it was.
Let's just talk about Star Trek 6 again.
Honestly,
I feel like we could skip this movie and just talk about Star
Cold
Trek
War metaphor. Kirk stops being racist. Completely, just says like, here's the reason Star Trek exists, like laid bare. We have no budget, but we're gonna like just put our hearts out.
Yeah, shut this Apes movie off. Let's just talk about Star Trek 6 again.
Well, the funny thing about Apes, and we're gonna really dig deep tonight.
Yeah,
beneath the planet.
Let's get deep beneath these apes.
I think for a sequel to a movie that doesn't really warrant one, it's really interesting. I'm
glad you said interesting. I thought you were going to say good.
No,
and I was like, and no, interesting. I can agree with interesting.
I would say it's paced interestingly. It has some interesting ideas. It kind of stays with you. I wouldn't say that they will ever top what they did in the first one, and they're definitely reaching for that.
I just imagine a bunch of guys in a room at the studio, and they're like, they have no idea what to do, and they're like, what could we do? This is what happened. We found out it's Earth, and he cried on the beach. What do we do next? And one guy is just like, starts saying stuff like, I don't know, what about like, like subterranean dwellings and like telepaths, and he just keeps going and going, and the whole time they're like, yeah, I guess technically we could do that.
Yes.
We could
yes,
do
it is
all
1970 and that's a go.
These are all things.
Because I looked it up. And
I thought
there was a draft that was thrown out, was Planet of the Men. Yep. They were going to immediately do a war for the Planet of the Apes. It was going to be a lot more.
So I watched the behind the scenes documentary, and they go through the whole story of it. And so basically they were like, all right, sequel. This first movie was a hit. Let's do another one. Rod Serling, what you got? And he was like, well, I've got all these ideas. And they were like, yeah, those all suck. See you later, Rod Serling. And so then they're like,
what did Richard Matheson say?
Yeah. So then they're like, who do we go to? Let's go to Pierre Boulle or whatever the guy's name is, the guy who wrote the book. Right. And he's like, I've got a great take on this. It's called Planet of the Men. And he submits this script, and they show you, they like storyboarded it out. Wow. It's like a battle, like a big war between the apes and the men or whatever. And it ends with Dr. Zaius being like put in a zoo. And it's like all the people like looking at, so it kind of goes full circle in that same way.
Take that, Dr. Zaius.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do some plot line that involved like half men, half ape, like, implying that they could have
Mapes?
children.
Oh, yeah, sure. Mapes, yeah.
And
of course,
they even went as far,
yeah.
They had makeup tests done, and they showed like a little boy with like half monkey like face, and and they were like, but then
adorable.
But then we realized this implied bestiality, and
the implications,
and that's bad. They were like, and we can't do that. And one guy raised his hand and was like, why?
And that man was Tim Burton.
Sure? I'm asking for a friend. I think one of the things that is interesting about this movie is it reminds me of like sort of what Colin was saying. You know the Key and Peele sketch about the Gremlins sequel?
Hell yeah.
I feel like that's this movie. Is like crazy googly-eyed gremlin made of vegetables. You got it. It's in the movie.
Oh yeah. So I didn't finish. So this guy, I think his name is Mort Abrams. He was like one of the producers on the first. He was like, all right, I got this. Forget Pierre Boulle. Forget Rod Serling. What if we go beneath the planet? And there's like
underground telepathic bomb worshippers. Obviously.
He's like, what if we just blow it up? What if we just they had to beg Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston didn't want to come back to do this one.
Which was obvious.
Clearly, I mean, he's there at the beginning, he's there at the end, and he is sipping a daiquiri for the rest of it.
I feel like they, and I don't know anything about the development, so I'm going to posit a theory.
Mort Abrams.
And you guys tell me how right I am. Because I imagine that they came up with all these ideas for the sequel. They wrote out a script featuring Taylor. And then Charlton Heston was like, I'm not doing that whole fucking thing. And they were like, how long can we get you for? A week? Okay, fine. We'll shoot you out in a
8
week.
days.
And we'll get a fake Taylor to come in.
Yep.
That's like another astronaut that we just say, yeah, he looks kind of like him. He's basically because there's no reason.
His arc is the same.
There is no reason for any of that redundancy.
Yeah.
And all it really does is kill time where he goes back and sees the old apes and then escapes again or whatever, which really it should have been just about Taylor exploring the cave dwelling and meeting the telepaths.
Yep.
And instead they've got to have this whole subplot with this other astronaut who looks disconcertingly like a small young Charlton Heston.
Yeah. Very small, you realize at the end when they're next to each other.
Yeah, when they stand
I'm
next
sure
to each other,
Charlton insisted on that too.
Yeah.
I gotta say, for as much time as we spend in that ape village, they never really give a satisfying reason why they're marching on the underground. I feel like
They ran out of food.
Yeah, but it's like, but they were going to die going there anyway. It's like this no man's land.
That's true. I might be skipping ahead though, but like the gorilla general, like I hate him, but if I was in the gorilla army, I think I'd be like ready to go.
Yeah, that guy is like Elvis, man.
He's very inspiring for a maniac who doesn't know what he's talking about.
I hate him so much.
Here's the thing I really like about Beneath the Planet of the Apes. It really, like, I feel like there was one guy who watched Planet of the Apes and he was like, yeah, well, if I was in charge of humanity, we wouldn't have done that. Like, we could have done better. And this film was like, nah, man. Even when there are humans now, they are still worshiping that bomb. We are going to destroy ourselves no matter what. So the film is like really hammering that point. Like, there was no way out of this.
What I love is that they're like, this is the sequel. So people love apes. Let's give them more apes. And then they're like, yeah, but we don't have the budget for that. And they're like, we'll give them crappy masks. If this movie's guilty of anything, it's like the obvious crappy ape masks that are like just all over.
No, that's just Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, last thing just about the making of this movie. The guy who wrote the screenplay, his name is Paul Dane. He also wrote Goldfinger.
No way.
Yep.
Nice. You know, the fake Taylor guy, I kind of like him because even in this movie, we again get to find out that Taylor is still kind of fucking psycho. He has a problem.
Plus, he's giving me the Troy McClure.
Yeah.
Right there. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's so Troy.
This guy looks like Charlton Heston if he got his teeth done.
Yeah. Yeah, if his teeth weren't quite so skeletal. Yeah, he's like a younger, slightly handsomer, definitely shorter Charlton Heston. And they have the apes confuse him for Taylor, which is funny because I also would have confused him. It's not like an ape thing. It's not like ape racism that we all look alike.
Speaking of being hairy, growing up in L.A., this kind of thing happens all the time. My brother was in the class of Heston's grandson. So once or twice he hobbled through the schoolyard, and he definitely clocked. My brother and I had very long hair for girls. So man was a bastard.
And then when you turn around revealing that you were men, was he like, you maniacs?
and then I blew him up with my giant brain.
You blew up my boner.
God damn you all the hell.
No, that was Bob Dole in the Viagra commercial. Super Bowl.
I like the space shovel.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Not the shuttle, just the shovel.
No, the shovel.
We don't get the backpacks from last time, though.
No.
The backpacks were
they were
good.
probably blown up in that rocket explosion there. Yeah. That was pretty severe.
Before we go any further, maybe we should, since this plot is pretty intricate, Colin, do you want to dare take a...
I'll try.
Take it away.
Did it in record time last time. Let's see if he can do it equally fast. You ready?
Yes.
Go.
Okay, Beneath the Planet of the Apes. We start out, we see a spaceship that looks just like the other spaceship. It's crashed. A guy pops out. He looks
Is that
a
how
lot
we
like...
start? I don't know. Sorry.
We start with a little
there's
recap of the end
of the last film.
But we saw
Like
the
a
end of
Rocky
the last
movie.
film. We saw the end. Yeah, it was very Rocky movie. Okay, then the movie starts, and we get like a fake Taylor guy who's like another astronaut. He's like, I'm looking for Taylor. His captain dies, and then Nova rides up on a horse, and he's like, talk to me, and she can't talk. But then she has Taylor's dog tags, so he's like, let's go. And they go to the ape village, and they see the ape general, like the general of the gorilla army, and he's like, let's go, we're gonna do war, we're gonna kill, we're gonna do war. And the gorillas are into it. Dr. Zaius is like, I gotta go along with this because, like, I don't know, he seems like he's down with Lawgiver. And Zira and Cornelius are like, this is bad, but like we gotta pretend everything's fine. So then they hide out, they see that whole thing go down, and then he meets Zira. The gorillas are chasing him the whole time. Zira frees him, and then he gets captured again, and then she frees him again. He finds a big underground tunnel where he finds old New York City, and then he starts meeting other human beings, and this time they can talk, but they can do so much more than talk. They got stuff like going on with their minds. They're telepaths. They can like hurt people. They can control your mind. They can conjure images, which is how they captured Taylor. We saw in a flashback that was very confusing. They can make you see fire and like, other things like that. So then he finds out these guys they're just worshiping a big atomic bomb. And he's like, this is not good. And they're like, it is good. We're telepaths. And then he finds out from Taylor, who's been captured, that that's not just a regular atomic bomb. It's like the big one that blows up the whole planet. And then the apes are coming after him the whole time. And the apes come in and there's a big battle. And then the bomb blows up the entire planet.
Good job.
I'd say that's about right.
Wait, did you guys see that? There was a marker on the ground. Wait, can you go back?
We should put the
Beneath the
subtitles on
planet
too.
of
I
the
don't
blue.
Yeah,
really
we
know
need
what
the
they're
subtitles. What is that?
Oh, Nova's not saying anything.
It would be like confused.
Oh yeah. yeah. Somebody's marker for their.
I mean, she's giving me Italian Western all the way. Yeah.
I think she's good. I mean,
No, I mean,
she's not really being asked to do that much. She's definitely not being asked to talk. We know that. That's part of the character.
She's all over the behind the scenes documentary, and she's like, this is basically like the greatest thing that's ever happened to her in her life. And she's like, when I got to work with this guy, this actor, I forget his name.
Yeah.
She's like, it was the greatest pleasure of my life.
we don't know the character's name or the actor's name.
And she talked about how she gets to speak in this one, but she hated the way the director made her say Taylor. It was supposed to be like a guttural.
Yeah.
Like she's speaking for the first
Did
time.
we ever? This is going backwards, but did we ever figure out how the people forgot how to talk? Did they ever explain that in the first one? I don't remember.
Depression.
Because it doesn't really make sense that even if we were subjugated and driven out into the wilderness, that we would just be like, you know what?
Communication.
We're just not going to talk anymore. That's just not. We're not into it.
They mentioned at some point that before Lawgiver, apes had domesticated humans in their homes.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something left over from then. They were just
So we're just house cats now.
they were just they got bred in somehow, because as domesticated humans, they were just like they only let the silent humans fuck each other or something. That's a theory,
I guess.
It's like
yes.
So back
that
to the
is a
movie.
theory.
it's only 2,000 years after like our lifetime. Is that enough time? Like we
Probably
discussed this
not.
in the last episode. Like the time machine did it right. It was like 900,000 years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the time machine did a lot of things, that
Well,
we're
also-
still struggling to catch up with.
Also, like the ape people inherited English that sounds like pretty much exactly like English that they,
Complete with different regional accents.
which I don't know if that's accurate for 2,000 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's a little confusing. Very bizarre that we got these fire special effects that the telepaths use to keep people out. Also, the telepaths, for some strange reason that's also not explained, have fake skin that's over their real skin. Because even though everyone in telepath land looks like, what do they look like? Like a soggy toe that's been in the bath too long.
Yes.
Purple. More
yeah.
corpsey.
Yeah, they have
Veiny.
They're somehow, even though they all look like this, they're embarrassed about it enough that they have these very sophisticated prosthetic faces that they wear over their faces.
they wear
That's what the
amongst
bomb
their
wants them to
people?
look like.
Yeah, so that's where the budget went. Not the cheap ape masks, but the incredible human masks.
Yeah, exactly. Because they actually did what they did in this movie, which was very controversial at the time because they were like, why are we doing this extra work? Was they put the weird toe makeup on the humans and then they put additional human makeup on them in layers rather than just, faking it. They also have the black guy is wearing has a black fake human face, which, good for him and everything, but you would think that they would have just one uniform skin color if they were making these masks en masse. It would be easier just to be like, hey, no, we're all whatever, we're all just.
And one of them's like a
totally-
big fat guy. It's like you think they'd be like, dude, you're too fat. We're not making a mask for you. It's too much material.
Just have your funky prune face out. We don't care.
You guys totally don't understand the culture that worships a nuke,
I am proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely there was a religious aspect to the true self.
They had to wear their human faces until they could reveal their other faces to their creator, the nukes.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense.
No.
And neither did their telepathy, which somehow they could conjure images in the apes' minds of fire and ape statues bleeding and apes being crucified.
Amazing scene.
It was a lot like Exorcist 3.
Right. But they cannot, the apes' skulls are too thick for them to mind control them, which they can do with humans, to literally force the humans to do anything they want them to do, which I also thought was kind of, they played like fast and loose with that. Like they don't have to convince them. It's not like, it would have been cool if they did like sort of the unreliable narrator where they convinced the human that they were in danger, or that they were fighting somebody that didn't, convince the human that they were fighting an ape. But it really is just Taylor fighting Brent or whatever his name is. Yeah. And, and they just decide to hate each other and fight until they can overcome this. I don't know.
Instead, they played the loudest, most ear-piercing sound effect known to cinema.
Mm-hmm. It's very annoying.
I was riding the volume pretty high at this. It's a very talky movie with the occasional bloop, bloop. And then as soon as you get underground to New York, it is tinnitus city.
Yeah, like a lot of ringing.
It ruled as much as it sucked.
Yeah. I think the apes were able to overpower them because they had the numbers. There was like a lot of apes in that ape army, and there was only so many telepaths. There's only like one church worth of telepaths.
But they say that their powers can't penetrate the thick ape skull.
That's just ape propaganda. See, I think they just love the lawgiver so much. They have so much devotion that when they saw an image that was so incompatible with their faith, with their dogma, they just snapped and they were like, "This cannot be."
This is like two religious cults.
I concur. Yeah, it is two religious cults.
I don't buy this though. I don't buy this Nova. He's trying to get her to take him to someone he can talk to, and she's like,
City.
"Well, let's go back to this place where I was enslaved and almost killed a few times."
That's what Taylor told her to do.
It's the modern Stone Age family.
Jacob, what's your history with these movies? You've seen them all. You love them. You hate them.
I've actually only seen the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were a fan of this one.
No, I did see Beneath like a little bit later, but it wasn't like I gotta binge them all. Mm-hmm. Actually, I kind of don't remember how I came to this film. It was probably one of those. Did you know they made a sequel to Planet of the Apes? And I was like, really?
Did you know they made 3 more?
They couldn't stop for a while.
Yeah, no, I mean, you go on Wikipedia, and I'm not going to talk about the later entries, and you're like, how did they get here? I guess there's a certain morbid curiosity.
As someone who hasn't seen any later entries, I'm baffled how this continued to be a series. After, as you said, the first movie wasn't calling out for a sequel. This movie definitely seems like it closes the door on a sequel.
Yeah, the ending,
and everyone's dead.
Yeah.
Interesting way to have a tentpole franchise movie.
But my mom used to run an antique store. She had a lot of 60s, 70s posters. So I was very familiar with...
I got some from you.
Yeah. I mean, most of them are actually donated now to the Academy Museum, which is, they have maybe 700 of those posters. But
nice. Yeah,
I remember seeing all the sequel one-sheets in her shop, which was called Junkies. No longer exists, sadly. So, I mean, it's... And I already alluded to the Simpsons. It's sort of like... love them or hate them, Planet of the Apes exists, and it's sort of like, well, why? what were they trying to say with this one that they didn't with the first? And unfortunately, it really is a retread. I think because they're not going for the same like it was Earth all along reveal. They have a little more fun with the scale of underground New York. Maybe if you've been to New York, you're familiar with all the fallout shelters there. Like it's playing a bit into that Cold War paranoia a bit, but they've already blown up the planet. Like how much worse can it get? So they have to blow up the planet again, like really shove it in the audience faces, which is not so elegant. Although I do like the way that the bomb is treated with reverence. The Alpha Omega, just the chanting, the off kilter, music and
the mask removal.
Yeah, I mean that's stuff.
It's a giant gold cock too. It's a very phallic.
Not everyone notices
that. I mean like that stuff. I think is where the movie shines. But then like Harris was saying, it doesn't really work with the apes. It's incompatible with the apes. Like
The apes are incidental to a lot of the stuff that this movie is doing.
yeah, so that's a bit of a bummer.
But you need the apes because otherwise you would not have this great outfit that this general has.
Oh, yeah.
the hat,
Leather
and everything.
daddy.
I love two things in here. I love this leather daddy ape with a giant bulbous hat, and I like the orangutan that's sitting next to Dr. Zaius, who has like a big apron on him, like he's in a barber's chair, like he just sat down for a haircut. I don't know why.
It's not called an apron. It's just called a Ron.
This hat really plays, though. The hat
it does.
Is a
very
brilliant-
much does.
Yeah.
I feel like
costume,
Tim
right?
Burton calls back to that.
Yes,
in,
the gorilla, the Michael Clark Duncan gorilla in Planet of the Apes has pretty much the same helmet.
yeah.
Probably has the same
Dark
name.
helmet.
God, these masks look so bad, and they just like linger on them. For
See,
so
I think it's
long.
funny that you think these masks look so bad, and I'm looking at it like, isn't this what I was complaining about last movie? Like, these don't look that much worse than they did. I don't know.
Don't you think that when you see them next to people with the masks on, that like you really appreciate the makeup more? I feel like they look.
Her eyes
so
are
much
really,
better.
the eyes are still really good.
I just feel like in the wide shots, there's like such a huge difference between like the extra they think no one's gonna see and the character that they're actually like.
It's
you
like
know.
broad daylight. Like they didn't really hide them that well, and the camera just like it stays on them for way too long.
One of the apes is wearing sneakers. Someone has a wristwatch on.
They're drinking Poland Spring bottles. Like,
Aren't we all?
oh yeah. Any excuse to like put your hands on her. That's like all I'm watching in this movie is like, how often do they touch this half naked girl that they have to act with all day long? Perverts. Yeah, this movie's insane. So yeah, it's like, and then the guns are different from the first movie. Yeah. But once you're in underground New York for a while, and then all of a sudden they cut back to the general and his troops like marching, you're like, oh yeah, there's apes in this movie. Like,
yeah.
There's surprisingly less cross-cutting between like stories than I expect. They really like linger on the main character. Just there's like a little bit of a sometimes when they need to clarify something cut away, but I feel like the sequences are quite long. Just like the amount of time we spend in that like sort of domestic scene in Ape City where they're like going over what happened in the last movie. Or
That's what I
or
loved
the-
about watching this the first time I watched it, because like we talked about in the beginning, they keep escalating all these things that are like possibilities for this movie. That
I love the sauna scene.
that you would not necessarily expect. Like, why a sauna?
So we could see the apes naked, Colin? Do I have to explain that to you?
and something for the ladies.
But yeah, exactly. Those things keep happening. They keep popping up, but there's big windows of time where they leave you waiting for them to happen next. Like the telepathy is revealed, but then you get like another reveal later of like, the mask coming off. You get another reveal later of like, they worship the bomb. You get another
You
reveal
thought
later.
we had crazy stupid shit before. Wait until you see the next crazy stupid thing we do.
Yeah, exactly. But they
Bing bong.
make you wait for them each time, like they
Yeah.
give you a nice little.
They're definitely slowly meeting out these little trinkets of whatever didn't get thrown out of the boardroom.
Yeah.
It's like, they give you that time to say like, yep, that's right, we did that. And there's something else coming, like.
But like this is so much of, this is actually, I actually found this interesting, sort of the apes arguing about whether they should go into the forbidden zone or not. But there's so much of the stuff with the fake Taylor going back to Ape City and being captured and escaping and then being recaptured and then escaping again was just like, is it filler? Like, do you really just not have enough story and you have to like do all this shit? Because it seems like we could have skipped a lot of this stuff and really gotten to the forbidden zone quicker and had more of an adventure in the forbidden zone.
Yeah, it's almost like they are so concerned that if we don't have his point of view that we're not allowed to know this as the audience. And
Right.
it's like, but it doesn't create more tension.
No,
in
and it's
any
just
way.
retelling for somebody who watched the first movie is just
Yeah.
retelling a lot of the same elements of the story.
That said, I'd totally watch a like a sitcom with these chimpanzee characters.
Oh yeah, what the
I'm
fuck
shocked
is
that hasn't
What the
happened.
fuck is up with her cover story of like, oh yeah, Cornelius was casually beating me. What the fuck was
I mean,
that?
1970, I'm sure that.
I feel like in ape culture, that's not such a big deal, except that I can't believe anyone bought that who knows Cornelius. Like, there's just nobody who would be like...
More like
she's-
Cornelius.
Yeah, that sounds like Cornelius.
Cornelius sometimes does not have the power in the relationship. I would say
almost never. He definitely is not wearing the pants, so to speak.
The ape pants.
The
ape
pants of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I think a Planet of the Apes domestic comedy would have been pretty interesting. As like if that had been the TV show spinoff.
Yeah.
You get the hybrid baby.
Yeah.
It's time to bust out all the deleted scenes.
They have
mention that they're pregnant, right?
They just have like an adopted blonde-haired human child inexplicably. It's just that's just for the ratings. Like,
Brent Jr.
Cousin Oliver.
The pregnancy that ties into the next film.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, plant that seed.
So yeah, I will commend them. So they made this movie that has such a definitive ending that you would think, oh, they're never going to make a sequel. But I was surprised to hear in the documentary that they actually started getting ideas for sequels as they were making this, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna make more. So, but they kept the ending, and it's funny because all the producers are like, man, I hated that ending. Like they all hated the ending, but they felt like they had to do it because of Charlton Heston. They like had to kill him off and had to thus kill everything off.
Guns can't stop him.
Yeah, I feel like that makes sense. I actually don't hate the ending. I think the ending is one of the things that worked about this for me.
It's different enough, yeah.
But I do feel like it's and because it's like it comes full circle from the bleak ending of the first one where he realizes that he's been trying to escape the Planet of the Apes to get back home, and he actually is home. And then this one's like he hates humanity. He thinks humanity's terrible. Now he gets confirmed that humanity is terrible in any era, and also apes are terrible, and we're all better off dead. And
Pixies, Where's My Mind starts playing.
Yeah, but he gets to like have his nihilistic, destroy. Like the guy who hates humanity more than anybody and is totally disillusioned at this point, gets to destroy the entire world forever.
Sick.
And I think that's great.
He wanted to die the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a surprise. It plays perfectly with everything that we've seen in this arc. There is going to be a sequel, which means that somebody survived this thing, which I didn't see planted anywhere. And maybe I missed it, but I feel like they should have, if they knew they were going to do that, there should have been some little tiny hint that like you wouldn't know it at the time. And maybe I don't, but I just think there should have been something, because it says at the end, it's like this little planet, little green planet, third from the sun in some obscure tiny star in some far solar system was no more.
But we didn't say that there was something orbiting the planet, so technically not on the planet. See what we did there.
The next movie better start out with the guy saying, psych.
Just kidding.
I do love it. I love the end because if you decide you're going to do a marathon of them, you're going to watch like more than one, and you get through this, and you get through 1 and 2, like it's really hard to not want to watch 3 after
I
that
managed.
ending. I'm aware.
In my mind, always like 1 and 2 are kind of like a package deal. They take place in the same sets and like characters and whatever, and then 3 and 4 go hand in hand. They're like or almost 3, 4, 5 is like a kind of a trilogy. But I feel like 5 is the one that I didn't really. Maybe I've seen that one once or never watched it all the way through or something. I'm curious to see that. But I know 3 and 4 are like connected. Yeah, it's interesting that they did it like that. They had kind of a clean slate after this one to do whatever they wanted to. And you'll see. It's pretty interesting.
They didn't go back to Rod Serling like, oh, we fucked up so bad.
What was your idea again that we hated so much?
Yeah. When did he die? He might have been dead already.
Oh, yeah. He died on the operating table. All the cigarettes, just like Walt Disney. In fact, you never saw them in the same room.
Oh.
They were in the same room, you said?
No, I was saying you never saw them.
Oh.
But Rod Serling could have made Epcot.
But now
Disneyland is
it.
your land.
Technically, the frozen heads are in the same room now, though. So that was something that they insisted on.
Yeah, let's talk about the violence in this movie. It's pretty violent.
Yeah, I mean, there's man on man, which is
Sweet man on man action.
We were definitely missing that in the first one. So thank God. Yeah, there's actually less ape on man violence than I think or was it simian torture, as they would say.
Yep.
The part where he's like holding Nova's head under the water is pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
When he first.
Yeah, basically anytime they try to murder Nova for some reason, I'm like, this is very.
And then in the documentary, I was having a great time getting murdered every single fucking day.
I was like, choke me a little harder. You can choke me harder. I just kept on telling him he could choke me harder. He never really got there for me.
They were so nice when they groped me constantly.
Yeah, she gets a raw deal.
And then they have the guy. I liked when they kill that telepath guy by like slamming him against the spike cage and then closing the cage door on him. I'm like, not enough blood.
That's such a great death, but then right afterwards they accidentally lock themselves back in the cell in like the dumbest way ever.
Unenforced error.
Yeah. And then I thought they were gonna like just like figure out how to get out because they had basically accidentally whacked a giant hole in the fucking plaster wall behind him. I thought they were just gonna bust through that thing.
Nope.
But instead they're like, no, we'll just pry this locked cell door open. I just don't. It was just dumb. Everything about it was dumb. I was like, this went from being the best part of the movie to the dumbest part really fast.
Yeah, and then they wrap it up so quickly. And
what are we talking about? They're out of food. Look at this shit.
Yeah, true.
Like they're out of food.
They're
doing
ornamental.
Good.
Those are ornamental. They're plastic. Just real quick, going back to talking about Walt Disney dying on the operating table or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what his last words were? Famously,
What was that?
he asked for he couldn't speak, so he asked for a pen and paper, and he just wrote the name Kurt Russell, and then he died.
That's right.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Kurt Russell is the best.
His last
Love
actual
that
words,
kid.
yeah, that's his last written words. His last actual words were him asking for a cigarette. He was on the operating table and he was like, "Can I just have one more smoke?"
I mean, that's why you see a lot of photos of Walt Disney holding nothing because they've edited the cigarettes out of the photographs.
Really?
Yeah, you'll notice his hand is in a certain upraised position of two
Oh,
fingers.
that's crazy.
Yeah, he was a smoker. Planet of the Apes.
Well, I guess if you must. The chimps are real hippies in this one, huh?
Chimpies,
Yeah,
if you will.
love
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, they're
Love
the peace
the
nymphs,
Chippies.
right?
Yeah. Just having sit-ins and love-ins and signs and all sorts of shit.
Yeah, I like that part.
I like when they like separate the group of hippies, and it's like the group in the back is the one they're all wearing masks, and then the one in the front they have the prosthetics.
Yeah, I love the signs. Reminds me of all the times I protested wars and they still dropped the nuke.
Damn, those damn dirty apes.
Damn dirty.
It's super awkward too because he's like, "Okay, take care of this," and then Dr. Zaius is like, "Wait, don't do it," and then he's like, "Okay, take care of this nicely," and they just like still go in and just grab them all. Was he gonna have them all murdered or what?
Just lightly murdered.
I feel like Dr. Zaius took a real backseat in this movie.
Yeah.
From like the mastermind of like the cover-up artist in the first movie,
Yeah.
and then in this he's just kind of like doing what the general.
It's a
said.
military coup. Like the general, like
The general who was not in the first movie, right?
Yeah.
But then this movie seems to take place like immediately after the events of the
Maybe the
first
general
movie.
was off on some campaign.
Maybe.
Yeah. They do talk about how they went to the Forbidden Zone and like 20 win and 12 came back or something. I don't know, something like that.
Those are pretty good odds.
Yeah.
This guy looks so much like Charlton Heston. It's weird. Even as a kid, I remember watching this and thinking, like, why did they cast this guy who looks just like him? It makes no sense.
I don't know.
The black wigs are back.
Yeah, I wonder how different this movie would have been if Charlton wanted to play ball. I mean, like, if they didn't have to kind of repeat so much and work around him.
I like the scene where they're practicing like murdering horses. Yeah, I imagine it would have been the exact same movie except without Taylor, and probably not so much of the going back to Apeville. This part might have all been cut because they're not going to have him get recaptured.
Yeah, it really doesn't pay off in any particular way.
Yeah.
It would have been cool if the theme they went with was like the first movie is called Planet of the Apes, and then the second movie is called like Planet of the Mutants or whatever, and each phase of the planet you find like some other cool, like, quirky thing that they have
Until
to
they get
deal
to
with.
Planet of the Crepes.
Delicious.
You maniacs! It's delicious.
You rolled them up.
You
Intermission comes up, and now go to the snack bar for a delicious ape crepe,
ape crepe.
banana filled.
I'll take grape, please. A grape ape crepe.
Have you read the
Ape
pape?
crepe, yes.
Have you read the pape? This is great. I got to record this on tape.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me here.
This is going on your resume.
Yes.
My permanent record.
I think that is kind of what that's what I thought they were doing, because it's like, okay, beneath the Planet of the Apes, there's mutants. So like, yeah, every time we're adding discovering some new element of the world. And had they not blown the world up, I would have expected the next one to incorporate some new adventure or element or something.
They could take off on boats to get away, and then the third movie they find some other like island society, and like there's
It's all like Logan's Run.
yeah, it's just this post futurist like world where you can have like anything.
I
happen.
feel like you already talked about they had the idea to have like human ape hybrids. I feel like that idea has to come up if you're like looking for ways to keep exploring the planet
To spice
of
up
the
the Planet of the Apes franchise.
It just feels like inevitable, you know?
Yeah.
Speaking of inevitable, what do you all think about the mutants? Sort of, they want to defend themselves against the apes, but they know they can't win physically. They feel kind of like they don't really put their best foot forward when it comes to defense. Are they supposed to be sort of like the intellectual class, or some kind of like what's the film trying to say about like these really smart guys who are gonna get fucking murdered anyway?
I hate everything about the mutants except for the way they look and their weird worshiping ceremonies.
Fair, but try to answer my question, Harris.
Well, no. Here's what I think. I think they're supposed to be like the hypocrisy of the intellectual class that acts like they're not getting their hands dirty, but really they are. Because remember, the guy's like when he has them murdering each other.
Right,
it's like, we are not a violent people. We don't hurt anyone.
We make other people
Stop
hurt
hitting
each
yourself.
other.
Stop hitting yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like such a bullshit idea that they must see the hypocrisy in it. But then I think also maybe they're not that smart, because they have a more sophisticated culture in some ways than the ape culture, because they seem like they have like some higher, like more complex machinery and like there must be some kind of electricity or something down there.
They got sewage.
They got like some stuff going on there, but at the same time they're still living in like caves with very primitive like medieval looking cages and weapons and stuff. And then they themselves don't have any, like their plan is, hey, we're going to use our telepathy to manipulate the minds of the apes to get them to stay out of our place. But we can't actually control their minds like we can with other humans. So instead of like telepathically raising a human army to defend them, or thinking of some way to proactively use their bomb or something else to like strike the apes, they're just like, well, let's hope the apes never come here. Like let's not actually come up with a plan. Let's just hope the apes never come here, and if they do, we'll blow everything up.
What's the word for like a religious government? It's not
A theocracy.
Theocracy, yeah. They're
America. Bam, 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 bam.
yes.
Hot take.
No, but like they're even more theocratic than like the lawgiver government.
Yeah.
Like lawgiver at least pretends to like, have logic and they have a scientific like class in their society and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Every single one of the telepaths is like a church member.
Yeah. And the more we learn about the ape culture, it's more militaristic than it is a theocracy. It's like they structure it around the theocracy, but it is very much a military culture that's dominated by the gorillas.
Yeah.
With Dr. Zaius is like, condoning of, that.
I do think we're supposed to see that like it doesn't give us enough of this story, but I think we're supposed to think that in between the events of the first movie and the second movie, this one general guy like got a bunch of the gorillas committed to like, training really hard and, getting together, being in the military, and then he like kind of came into the ape city and was like, you know, we're the important ones now, you know.
Yeah,
well, I
but
think there's even a line in this movie where they basically say that like, look at what happened with that talking human, and you know, like they use the events of the first movie as a reason to like take up arms.
But it is very much politics, because the orangutans are the intellectual political establishment, and the gorillas are just supposed to be the hired muscle. But you can see in this movie that that's clearly there's a stress there that doesn't exist, and the poor chimps are just the saps stuck in the middle.
The hippies.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would expect Zayas to have some more like cards to play, but like you were saying, he kind of sidelined for this film.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to try to climb up when they stop. They get off their horses. They look up the mountain, and I just thought they were going to try to climb up the mountain, and I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever. Like, everyone knows apes aren't good at climbing. Let's do this.
Fortunately, it was too expensive to catch them.
He actually looks up at the mountain and says, "Nah, too expensive."
I really like all the sets that they built for the underground New York, but I can't help but like try and think of how it could possibly happen, because you have buildings that are basically still whole but installed into the side of sheer rock face underneath a mountain.
Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones.
And they also use matte paintings in a way I've like never really seen before. Like usually the matte painting is like, you know, cleverly mixed in with like an actual shot of something in the foreground.
Yeah.
Like in Goldfinger.
Yeah.
Yes.
But in this, they just show you a matte painting. Like someone looks at something and they're like, "My God!" And then they cut to what they're looking at, and it's like a
Clearly,
drawing.
no depth at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not even like they could have done a model, or like you said, they could have used matte paintings in a more conventional way, and they just basically are like, "Look, we painted this."
There's even like, I think it's coming right up where they first get to like the first New York set, and there's like a bus, but it's like clearly just
The red bus
on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a matte painting, like in just a quarter of the whole set.
Yeah.
And there's like just fake rocks and stuff.
Yeah, it's like a
scattered
stage
around.
play.
Yeah.
It's if in Stop the Planet of the Apes Part 2, they would have something like that.
This looks cool right here.
Yeah, the
subway.
Queensboro Plaza.
What is he doing here? When he first sees Queensboro Plaza, he like rubs the sign with his hands. It's like, you can read it. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Checking it for clues.
I wish he had been like.
This isn't Wheel of Fortune.
I wish he had been like, "You blew it up, you maniacs!"
Is there an echo in here?
I like how they try to have like iconic lines in this one too, and he's like, "You bloody bastards" at the end. You're like, okay, not quite the same.
Yeah.
You stinky men. Stench lords.
Yeah. Did this guy ever do anything ever again in his life?
Put on some pants. I
Not
hope.
one thing.
Not one.
He climbed
damn
into a
thing.
bed, and that was it. What's his name? Hold on. I'll look him up. You guys can continue.
If you
speaking.
can remember his character name or the actor name.
Yeah. Can we even do a top 4 for this?
I looked up the guy
No.
who played the gorilla, and it would have been too hard.
I think we should do some top 4. We should do a top 4 of somebody from the Burton Planet of the Apes. That's what we should do. Like we should do one person from the Burton Planet of the Apes for every remaining
Oh, that's good.
8 movie, because I don't think we're gonna have a lot. Well, we got Ricardo Montalban coming up, but I don't think we have a lot of other options.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Ricardo Montalban from Star Trek?
It's good top 4. We could do Tim Roth or Marky
Clark
Mark
Duncan
or Michael Clark Duncan or Paul Giamatti.
or
Those would probably all be good.
what's her name? Tim Burton's ex-wife.
Oh yeah, Helena Bonham Carter. Yeah.
Oh, I meant the other one, Lisa something.
Oh, Lisa Marie.
Lisa
yeah.
Marie. Yeah.
Okay, so the guy who plays Brent is named James Franciscus. He was in The Cat O' Nine Tails.
Oh, that's the Gala film.
Good Guys Wear Black.
Oh, isn't that a Chuck Norris movie?
I'm learning
We'll
something
find out
today.
later. He was also in The Valley of Gwangi.
The third sequel in the Dolls trilogy, Valley of the Dolls, Beyond the Valley, and Guanji.
Secret Weapons in 1985.
So big
That
star,
sounds like a
obviously.
softcore porn.
Yeah, it looks like, most of his work was in the 70s and 80s.
Okay.
And let me check back with you about the film Good Guys Wear Black. It looks like... Is that Chuck Norris?
On the poster? It's
Yeah.
like his face. Yeah.
Wow. He
Yeah, I'm
looks
pretty
totally
sure I
different
looked
in
it
the
up because
70s.
I think
Yeah.
the guy who directed this movie also directed that.
Wow.
Look it up. Is his name like...
I've met Chuck Norris.
You did?
Yeah, sort of. I brought him a milkshake.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, he came to a place I worked at.
What kind of milkshake?
I think it was chocolate. There were only two choices, so it was either chocolate or vanilla.
Don't get this wrong.
Chuck
'cause
Norris
that's-
wouldn't get vanilla.
Yeah,
Harris,
that
I
could be-
think you're fondling your mic or something.
That could be a libelous offense if you accuse
So
Chuck
I used
Norris
to-
of liking the wrong kind of milkshake.
I used to work at a place called Studio Movie Grill. It was a place where you could watch a movie and also eat a meal while you watched. And, we had waiters and such and a box office. Chuck Norris came to the box office, and my friend who worked there, she told me that she did not like it when Chuck Norris came because one time Chuck Norris came to the box office and asked for special seating, and she said, "No, we seat everyone the same way." And he looked at her and said, "Do you know who I am?" And she was like, "I don't care." So then, another waiter who worked there was like, "Oh, I got Chuck Norris in my section. I really don't want to talk to this guy. He's super rude."
Yeah, I feel like I've heard that before too. Unfortunately,
It's weird, like all those guys from that era have that stigma, like him and who's the other guy?
well, Van Damme's notorious for being like a shitty tipper and kind of a rude, don't you know who I am guy.
Yeah, he's softened up though a little bit. I mean,
He's been humbled.
His drug arc. I did a project that Van Damme started in. I was a set PA. And he was so nice to me.
Oh, that's
He'd
good.
be like,
That's good to hear.
"Hello, Jacob. How you doing, Jacob? We should go find some girls. I'm married."
That's
but
awesome.
he
That's
could
a
never
redemption
remember
story.
Women's names.
Oh, wow,
Everyone, "Hello, lady. Thank you, lady. Hi, Jacob." Hey, and then one time, and I'll never forget this. I was walking down. We were shooting on the Sunset Gower Studios. Walking down the hallway, and someone touches my back, and it's Van Damme, and he says, "You are very tight there. That is why you walk with your feet paraded out. You have to fix your. He was still like very much a dancer." He was like watching the way I was walking. I was walking all fucked up, like clown style, and I was like,
As one does.
I know your walk.
He might have saved my life, but yeah, I mean, he's a bastard. They're all bastards.
Well, no, it's good.
Steven
I like to
Seagal
hear
is
that
another one.
he's
Oh my God,
he's
Steven Seagal is the
improving.
king.
Yeah.
improving.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he'll get to the misogyny eventually. He's not going to become a perfect human overnight. He's got one thing after another,
My interaction with Norris was that he silently acknowledged that I put a milkshake in front of him, and I walked away.
Amen.
Wow. You'll go to the grave.
It
with that
was
one.
moving.
And he shouted at your back, "Don't you know who I am? Be more impressed."
Shout out the milkshake.
So top 4, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Huh?
To Chuck Norris.
Chuck
Both
Norris.
good options.
Yeah. Okay, so
which one?
Bloodsport 1.
Which one?
Van Damme's probably easier.
Okay. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Guess goes first.
Give me a second. I'm not
Okay.
there yet.
All right.
You know how slow the internet is? It never works. I have
God,
to
he's
dial
got
it.
so
I have
many
to dial
movies.
up to AOL. Okay, I'm ready.
this is going to be great. Go ahead, Jacob.
Me?
Yes, one Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Just one?
Just one.
Oh man, that's so hard. I'm gonna just throw out Time Cop. Just incredibly
Good
nihilistic.
guess.
Time Cop is incorrect.
Wrong. Terrible.
Damn. All right. I'll say Sudden Death.
Sudden Death is incorrect.
Fuck.
That's the
So tell
hockey
me-
one where he fights the mascot.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to
It's like the
say,
best.
I'm going to have a real guess. My guess is Kickboxer.
Kickboxer is correct.
That's a hell of a film.
Jacob, back to you.
Hard Target.
That's a good one.
Hard Target is incorrect.
Wow.
Wrong.
I'll say Bloodsport.
That's a good guess.
Bloodsport is incorrect.
Whoa!
Um,
That movie is just Street Fighter. They should really sue.
Speaking of which, I will say Street Fighter.
Street Fighter is a great guess, but it is also incorrect.
Wrong.
That movie is also Street Fighter.
All right, now
Jacob's,
we're going.
Jacob's
Are we on the
back
hint
up.
round here?
This is the Dennis Rodman film. No.
Oh yeah.
What is your guess?
Is it? Oh my God, what's it called?
Not Double Team. What was it?
Double Team is correct.
Oh!
Wow.
Hey, we had to get there eventually, right?
Yes.
I guess I know a lot more about Jay's.
What's the one where he plays his own twin brother? That's got to be it. One of them.
Is he in the Double Dragon movie?
No.
No. I was gonna say The Quest.
Oh, this is a good one. Yeah.
But
The
yeah,
quest is incorrect.
Damn.
Wrong.
I will go with Cyborg.
Cyborg is incorrect.
Fuck.
that's a
Wrong.
fun film, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Little hint: Jean-Claude Van Damme does not play the cyborg in that movie, and neither does the giant alien-looking bad guy with the metal teeth who he fights. The cyborg is a normal-looking woman. Just for anybody who has never watched that terrible, terrible fucking movie, it's weird.
That sounds nice.
Whose turn is it?
Jacob's.
Oh my God, I'm actually I'm
We're
treading
running out of
water
movies.
here.
How many did we get? 2 or 3?
I thought three.
We have 2 so far out of 4. Those 2 are Kickboxer and Double Team.
Wow.
And Double Team is the Rodman one, not the one where he plays his own twin brother, right?
Right.
Double Team is the Rodman one.
Okay. Have we guessed Hard Target yet? Somebody guessed.
Yeah.
it,
I
right?
said yeah.
Okay.
Whose turn is it? Do
Jacob's.
we want a hint?
Yes, please.
Okay. One of these movies
Double
is from,
Impact? Is that the name of it?
I think it is.
Is it your turn?
No, it's Jacob's
Sure.
turn.
Damn it.
Double Impact comes
Double
to mind.
Impact is correct.
Fuck.
Man, I'm so smart.
Okay, the last movie is from 2008.
Is that the one about the bank robbery? It's the sort of realistic.
Don't give Matt hints.
I'm sorry,
Let
I'm
Matt think of it
Oh,
on
it's
his
me?
own.
Is it?
Although it is a movie, it would help if you were a man of letters.
Oh, geez,
I was gonna
got
say
it.
JCVD.
JCVD
Yeah.
is correct.
That was going to be my next guess, damn it.
But the,
Way to give him too many hits.
The project I mentioned earlier is called JCVJ. It's on Amazon Prime. It's 6 episodes long.
Oh yeah, Jean-Claude Van Johnson. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that. I saw a few episodes of that. It was pretty good.
I appear in episode 6 as a cardboard cutout.
I did not see that. Didn't get that far, but
The 5th one on top 4 is Minions: The Rise of Gru.
No.
wow. Let's do Chuck Norris.
All right, Chuck Norris. It
Oh,
is.
God,
Chuck Norris is a harder one.
Yeah, much harder. Man, yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme's got some bangers. I can't believe Time Cop wasn't on there.
Yeah, I can't believe a lot of those weren't on there.
I
I mean,
think-
they're not good movies.
Gen
but
Z,
they're
if you're
famous.
listening, watch Type Cop right now.
What is Jean-Claude Van Damme's best movie? Like movie quality? Like what is considered his best? And what's his most successful movie? I think Time Cop is probably his most successful one. That
I
or-
would say
or Sudden
Time Clock
Death.
is at the top of both of those lists. Probably. Yeah, look, it just looks like a painting of a
Yeah.
bus.
Yeah.
I would put Time Cop at near the top of both of those lists. But I think his.
But how did the bus get installed into the rock face like that by we're assuming a nuclear explosion
I
that
think in
happened
this
way back in the past?
In this future scenario, the rocks sort of crept up on, like it looks like they grew over like stalactites and stalagmites.
I'm really interested in that process. It
Yeah, I
seems,
don't think it's realistic. These are some. I mean, I understand this is like a big undertaking. This is probably state of the art at the time.
I think it looks
This all
cool.
Looks, this
It
all
looks
looks
cool.
It conceptually looks cool. It looks fake as hell though.
Yeah. All right, are we ready to play top 4? Chuck Norris.
Let's do it.
Do you guys remember Chuck Norris jokes? Like when you used to
I remember
like
that was a
They
Chuck
weren't
Norris-
jokes to me.
Jacob, you get to go first. Again.
Dodgeball.
Dodgeball is incorrect.
Wrong.
Good guess. One of these is very hard.
I don't even. Oh, I'll say Good Guys Wear Black.
Wrong.
Damn.
Wrong.
I'm gonna say Delta Force.
Delta Force is incorrect.
Wow.
Wrong.
He was in several of those. Are we going specific numbers or are there no Delta Forces?
I'll say there are no Delta Forces. Although I I'm not beholden to actually tell
I just
you
feel
that,
like
but there's
he was
no
in a bunch
Delta
of things
forces.
with. Okay.
Expendables 2.
Oh, that's a good
Expendables
one.
2 is correct.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
You're pretty good at this game.
Yeah, I'm just voting with my heart.
Is there any TV on there? Walker, Texas Ranger?
Walker, Texas Ranger is correct.
Nice.
Nice job, man.
I'm a little confused about why that wasn't one of your first guesses. I guess
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
always.
TV
I
is
never
not
think of
often
TV.
where our brains
yeah,
go,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I will guess the movie that inspired Walker Texas Ranger, Lone Wolf McQuade.
that is incorrect.
Wrong.
I knew it was a little obscure.
Back to you.
Enter the
Are you
Dragon?
cheating? Are you cheating?
I'm not on IMDb.
You liar.
I'm just looking at
It's just porn.
overall filmography. Listen, I'm the JCVJ. I mean, D guy.
For the listeners, Jacob had his phone out. I watched him cheat.
Yeah, I have a lot more than my phone out right now.
Okay, so far we're so far we have 2 out of 4 correct. Expendables 2 and Walker, Texas Ranger.
And he just guessed Enter
Enter the Dragon.
He was not in that.
He was not in Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
No, he is. Isn't
No, he isn't. It's John Saxon is the white guy in it.
Oh man, that guy rules.
It's possible you're thinking of something else.
Yes.
Oh yes, I am thinking of something else.
Way of the Dragon.
No.
Is it your guess? Who's guess?
He already got Enter the Dragon wrong. Now it's Matt's
It's
guess.
a Bruce Lee movie.
It is a Bruce Lee movie.
It's like
be my next
hold
guess.
on. Is it Fists of Fury?
No,
Is that a movie? It's not.
it's not.
Wrong.
I can't believe you're messing this up.
I'm just gonna hold my
Is it?
tongue.
I can't remember if it's Game of Death or the other one. I'm gonna guess Game of Death.
Game of Death is incorrect.
Wow.
Wrong.
I got it wrong.
Jacob, do you want to say the thing you said last time when it wasn't your guess?
No,
You don't?
no, I don't.
Okay. What's your guess then?
I have no idea.
Wait, you mean he guessed it already?
I mentioned a film that sounds like it has the word dragon in it.
He did. He said a film of such a title. But it wasn't his turn. And then Matt was like, well, I'm not guessing that.
I didn't hear him say it.
Oh.
I heard him say Enter the Dragon, and you said no.
No.
But then there was
There's another movie.
there was
with
another way
dragons?
that I said.
Oh, is it Way of the Dragon?
Way of the Dragon is correct.
Whoa.
I'm pitching them. You're catching them.
Way of the Dragon is the movie about the making of Enter the Dragon, or it's like about
No.
Bruce Lee or something.
It's like another...
No, there was a film Dragon though, wasn't there?
That's what I'm
Dragon,
thinking
the
of.
Bruce Lee story is-
Yeah, I've seen that.
is
The
the
Way
one
of the
that's-
Dragon, a man visits his relatives at their restaurant in Italy and has to help them defend against brutal gangsters harassing them.
But
Oh,
that's-
it's
that's
pronounced the Way of the Dragon.
And that's
But
a
that's
Bruce Lee
no,
movie?
that's not the Bruce Lee movie.
Oh.
The
It is Bruce Lee.
Is it?
Yeah.
What?
Was he on
It's called-
vacation?
It's called.
I'm looking at the poster and the words Bruce Lee are way bigger than the title.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess
Bruce Lee. Now that we have your attention,
Yeah.
Chuck Norris.
He did discover Chuck Norris and was his trainer for a long time.
Dear Lord.
All right, so the
okay.
fourth movie is... I'm going to go ahead and give you a hint. It's from 1988, and it's part of a franchise.
Missing in Action
Which Missing in Action?
3.
Missing in Action 3 is correct.
Wow.
Wow! Technically, the title is Braddock, Missing in Action 3, but
Harris, I respected
we'll let
you
it
before. Now I am in awe.
I was no, no. I was gonna guess the Octagon until you said it was part of a franchise. But those are all like those Canon films. Those like he did all those.
Man, when the Canon logo comes up, the popcorn comes out, baby.
you just get a tiny boner about what a stupid bad movie you're gonna watch.
Yeah, and
how
maybe
and how
Gallico
enjoyable
logo
it's
also,
gonna
but
be.
mostly Canon.
yeah, yeah. How much pleasure you're gonna get from terrible cinema.
Yeah, but what was that one film? Cobra.
yes.
Yeah,
That's pretty sick.
that was pretty sick.
That's a canon film?
Yeah, I think was that one
Yeah,
of the bigger
I think so.
budget ones.
And then
I think it
that
is.
guy,
Masters of the Universe was another one of their bigger
the director
budget ones.
of Cobra, his son went on to direct Beyond the Black Rainbow, and then the Nick Cage film Mandy.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. His name is
Cosmopod. I'm making
something Greek. Something.
Cage made a
Don't even
film-
try it; you'll be offensive.
Yeah. Nick Cage made a film called Mandy.
Yes.
Is it based off the Barry Manilow song?
It is basically a pretty faithful adaptation of the song.
Wow.
Does the Barry Manilow song have the
Giant
Death
chainsaw
Bikers
fight?
from Hell?
The
giant chainsaw fight.
Yeah, no, the giant chainsaw fight is like it's not in the radio edit, but it's definitely there's a verse in there. Oh man,
The sailors say, "Man,
giant
got a
chainsaw fight." I can't believe we survived. Oh Mandy.
Someone's rubbing their mic so hard I can't tell.
Came
who it is.
and you had a
And
chainsaw.
that's not a euphemism.
I don't know.
Yeah, my mic wasn't properly screwed on.
Oh my.
Good night, everybody.
This is this is bad mic maintenance. I'm gonna blame Matt. It's his product.
It's all your you're too focused on the head, Harris.
Yeah, I never worked the shaft enough.
All right. Here's a question.
Common complaint.
You know who this guy looks like?
In the underground telepath
the
society,
mayor or the warden from Shawshank
Yes,
Redemption.
I always think it's him.
The green cloak guy. Yeah.
the main telepath guy, he looks like one of the Blofelds. The Blofeld from
Yes.
Diamonds Are Forever,
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Oh.
Yep.
You mean the
Nailed
Is
it.
he the same guy? He's not the same guy, is
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he
But
definitely,
he
looks
definitely
like
has that look. I totally see it.
And the fat guy looks like the guy who plays Otho in Beetlejuice.
Yes.
There is a direct line from Beneath the Planet of the Apes to Beetlejuice, and it's Tim Burton, people. It's,
But this guy, the one telepath who has glasses, where did he get his glasses? Who made them?
Wizard
the
of Oz.
optometrist, the ape optometrist.
Oh my god!
Where are they making these sophisticated human masks? Their technology is all over the place.
Where's the manufacturing?
They have projection TVs, but they don't have fucking
that's
Listen, this is
telepathy.
New York, best city in the world. You get glasses.
You know
Get
who the
anything
fat guy
in,
looks
yeah.
like? He looks like the guy from Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Another Tim Burton joint.
The neighbor,
Yeah,
who's like,
yeah.
Pee Wee.
Yeah.
If you love it so
I
much,
love
why
that
don't you
guy.
marry it?
Yeah,
guy
I love when he
rules.
chews the gum and he just starts dripping out of his
Yeah.
mouth. It's so good.
I know you are.
And this guy looks like someone too.
RuPaul, but without the drag.
You're right.
And now he's activating his sleigh attack.
Nice. Yeah, also their telepathy, like for the longest time, the guy's talking to him. He doesn't even notice the guy's talking to him without his lips moving. The telepath who I don't think we ever see him again, but the telepath who's just randomly in the church, who has his own kind of creepy, weird look.
Oh yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, we don't use our mouths to talk. It's such a primitive way of talking, except when we pray to our bomb god. But then by the end of this, they're all talking to each other with their mouths. And I'm like, what happened to the whole thing? You only communicate with telepathy. By the end of it, they're just like, he's like, well, we're going to have to activate the bomb now. Are you sure? And I'm like, why are you guys moving your lips? This would actually be easier to do if you just kept your mouths closed. It's easier to film.
Yeah, no, it's when telepaths get stressed out. It's not cute.
Yeah.
It's not funny.
Yeah.
And actually, they're just stressed.
Is it just me or do their costumes look incredibly comfortable?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, they got kind of like a,
They're like pajamas almost.
yeah, they got like a Snuggie vibe to them.
It's the Uniqlo fall collection.
Do my taxes, Andy Dufresne.
There's also like a jewelry part.
I'm sorry, that's what he looks like. He's also in Broken Arrow. You guys remember that movie?
Yeah.
Broken Arrow, but that's a no.
Christian Slater.
Yeah.
John Woo.
Yeah.
And what's his name? The football player.
Oh my God. What's his name?
Howie Long.
Howie Long. Who's got the best death in cinema history in that movie?
I remember watching that movie and thinking, shit, Howie Long could be an action star. And then he was in that movie where he played a firefighter action star. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, probably not.
Fire
Yeah,
Down Below?
He
Is
can
that
be
it?
an action
No.
star.
No, that's Steven Seagal.
He can be an action star, but for how long? Am I right?
Not bad. Not bad. Not bad.
Howie, did you come up with that one?
I don't know. It was a snap decision.
Yeah.
These telepaths really threw the bomb.
No.
Quarterback. I don't know.
You're fumbling.
No, it's good.
You're fumbling.
Yeah. Penalty, loss of down.
Turnover in the red zone.
You're about to get sacked.
Yep.
Yeah. What else can we possibly say about this movie?
Well, we could critique this guy's performance when his mind is being attacked by the telepaths.
He's getting to do a lot of telepathy is hurting me moments, you know, and he's really going for it sometimes.
He's going for it. Capital A acting. He's not afraid to get too big.
His hairstyle seems to stay
Jordan Peele.
pretty
He looks like
intact.
someone. I can't figure it out.
He kind of looks like Richard Jefferson, the black telepath guy.
Richard Jefferson, like the basketball player?
Yes.
Okay. I maybe see that.
I'm still sticking by my RuPaul thing. And it's not just because he's tall.
I'm trying to think of more lines that the warden says from Shawshank.
Welcome to Shawshank.
Andy Dufresne. I just love the way he says that. Yeah, I mean, this movie's almost over already, right? What's left to happen?
I feel like there's a lot.
Yeah.
He still has to.
You think it's almost over?
He still has to try to kill what's her name, and then he's got to go be put in the cell with Taylor, and they got to catch up, and then they have to try to kill each other, and then they have to escape from the cell, which takes they're in the cell for fucking ever because we're cross cutting between the two of them in the cell, and
You're laughing at that guy. Sorry, Eric.
The telepaths are just funny. Like, they're just funny looking.
The fat guy is really like animated when he speaks.
the fat guy was my favorite. Who's your favorite telepath? The fat guy was definitely my favorite.
I think Andy Dufresne guy, warden.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah, I like the fat guy.
I like his
stand
little
by that.
hat too. It's like his hood has like a little like bumpiness on the top.
The fat guy seems like he's a telepath from like a Terry Gilliam movie. Like
Yeah.
he's like in the wrong, like he's like a little weirder.
I'd buy that.
Yeah.
I like all of them. I like the woman. I like the Blofeld.
I like this set. This is cool.
Yeah, the Blofeld's pretty good. I don't really get the color coding, and I don't get the bejeweled sashes.
They're like Power Rangers.
Yeah, but I don't get like the like. It looks like, you know, it looks very haphazard. This jewelry
They're the higher ups. That's their
seems kind of chintzy.
What do they call it in? Have you guys seen
Flare?
Multiverse of Madness?
No.
What?
Yes.
Have you seen the Doctor
I understood
Strange
that
movie?
reference though.
Yes.
You know the like organization that they meet, and it's like
Oh, the Illuminati.
the Illuminati.
Yeah.
That's it. They're the Illuminati, basically.
Man, if I ever met the Illuminati, I would certainly want to get naughty.
So stupid.
Well, I think what Beneath the Planet of the Apes is saying is we have an Illuminati and they're just as dumb as any of us.
Mm-hmm.
Have we missed the part where the apes hallucinate the lawgiver bleeding?
No, that's coming.
No, it's
Oh,
coming,
man.
and it gets to my favorite
good.
moment in this entire movie: the aghast General Ape.
I wish this film had more like head moments. Like it was like just a little like I feel like maybe exploring New York kind of because there's no dialogue there. Like if they just could linger in some of the weirdness a little more. Those moments stick out to me.
Did you guys notice all the upside down like crucifix imagery that's like all
Yes.
over the place?
Yeah.
See if they might be saying something there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, rocket ship makes for a good upside down crucifix.
See, this is the part I was talking about. Like, you almost forget that there's apes in this movie. We've been down
Yeah.
in this New York for so long.
Which I was kind of okay with. Like, I felt like we were doing interesting stuff for the telepaths. I feel like it's two different movies, and they don't really always blend together that well.
This scene right here makes me feel like, oh, remember that other movie? Like, this is this. You know, it's like, whereas the New York stuff is like, oh, this is a new idea. This is a new movie.
Yeah, I like the imagery of the massive ape army on the march. It's pretty cool. I kind of wish they were going into a big battle, but instead they sort of invade these caverns, and you never see more than 3 apes on the screen at any one time.
They only have so many masks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know, but it's pretty cool to see them all marching there from a distance.
Their flags are really interesting. They're pink with like these symbols on them.
Black and pink is a really
Yeah.
good combo.
I mean, it looks cool. I wonder what the symbols mean. If like somebody took the time to make up this symbolic language that the apes use, or they were just like, you know, like they're throwing a couple lines together.
I'm going to guess the latter.
Yeah.
It's not like Avatar over here,
Like that flag just has a letter B on it.
which in the ape language is like basically the swastika.
These are ape Nazis. There's not even Jews in this movie, and yet the apes are anti-Semitic somehow.
I mean, you know, I just as a Jew, I just kind of assume every movie hates me, even though the Jews made the movie.
I think it would be funny if like we listen to the behind the scenes commentary and they're like, no, the apes are actually all Jewish. It's like, but
They're self-hating.
but yeah, but not religious Jewish, culturally Jewish.
Oh, okay.
My daughter walked in for this scene. I was like, good God, you can't see this.
Were you like Marge? She was like, oh, they're sleeping.
No, he was like, don't worry, those upside down crucified apes that are lit on fire are actually just an illusion.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
I did say that, and then she was like, what's an illusion? I was like, oh, God.
Well, there's these telepaths,
Sanity.
and they live underground.
Yeah, I'm sure like you were not able to explain this movie
No.
to her.
You explained it pretty
leading
well.
up to this scene,
Yeah,
it
but-
was like, look at the apes. Don't they look cool? She was like laughing at Dr. Zayas. And then it instantly goes to fiery, like upside down, crucified apes with blood dripping out of their eyes. and stuff.
Franchise potential.
Then this happens with the statue. I was like,
That's my
"Oh,
favorite
Just
part.
get out of the room.
It's that log
I do feel like you have to be at least like 10 years old to even understand what the hell is going on in this whole thing.
I think that it's entirely possible to be much, much older and still not understand.
I agree.
I like how a lot of their guns, if you see close up, when you look at the apes' guns, some of them don't have holes at the end of the barrels.
He bleeds.
Yeah, and then Zaius bravely rides into the flames.
Yeah.
Which was, I don't really know what he thought the outcome of that was going to be. I would like to say
His
that
passion for lawgiver.
these ape actors who are freaking out over this shit are really compelling me. You know, like they are doing good ape acting of like, this is all upsetting to us and we're just sort of irrationally freaking out about it.
I was upset. I like to believe that audiences in the theaters were upset in the same way.
Well, if you remember, Harris, the scene in the sauna earlier, Zaius and the general are talking about the Forbidden Zone or whatever, and doesn't Zaius say something about like how they use imagery to like illusions, basically? Doesn't he say something to the fact of like he knows that they fuck with their minds? That's why he's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Aghast.
still very brave. Yeah, that aghast expression.
Oh, did we just miss it?
Yeah,
I missed it.
Can we rewind it? I think it's so good. It's worth seeing again.
Worth it.
It's the general, and he just has this look at his face, he's like, what? I mean, if anything, the sound effects are disappointing because it doesn't have like some slide whistle or something, which I think would just make it happen. It was like, whoop.
I would like to go back to the telepathy scenes and just dub in some crazy shit.
Yeah,
I think that would be worthwhile.
I really think here it is.
It's up and his mouth just opens.
Doesn't even say anything. So funny. Oh boy, classic.
I like these three monkeys.
See no evil.
Yeah, they don't go to that well again in this movie.
So, like, does he have a lot of hair under that hat? Is it a helmet? What,
Well, you
we
saw
saw
him
him with his hat, with no hat on, and with nothing else on.
but like,
We've seen him.
Don't
in
you
the
remember the
nude.
hardcore nudity scene?
is there like air in there, or like is it kind of stuffed, or like?
I think it's probably padding. It's
Okay.
probably padded. It's
Just
for
a
concussions.
whole
Yeah.
banana. Just
Yeah,
a bunch of them.
exactly.
Bundle of bananas.
Sometimes at certain angles you can see like their human neck underneath the mask. It's really upsetting when I see that.
Yeah.
We have no defense against the apes. They were too stupid.
I also think like I liked the way they looked in the sauna. I think because they looked like fuller and bigger, and then you get them in
Thicker,
close, and
sturdier.
they're just like they just look like people. I feel like they should have really put fat suits on all these main apes.
Put them out in the desert and just watch them drop one by one from the heat exhaustion.
Yeah, that, if anything, that sauna scene just makes me sweat. I'm just like, I can't. There must be dying.
I've been sweating during this whole podcast.
It's true. It's very hot in here. Guys, it's going to start to get cooler, I think. We're in the fall now. It's beautiful.
It's true. I wore a hoodie earlier.
It rained and thundered and lightning today. I saw. Did it rain here?
No,
Yeah, we had some dry lightning the other night, which was pretty unusual.
Oh, look, there's a matte painting.
zoom in of a painting,
Also
and like
known
they
as
zoom in closer
Matt's
and closer, and
painting.
it becomes obvious that it's a painting.
It's mine.
How come fake Taylor didn't see that when earlier? You know.
I don't know, but this church
Brent,
scene,
I
what do
mean?
you guys think of this
I'm
whole
trying to make
church
sense
thing?
of it.
The
like
church thing is awesome.
I like the church.
Church
thing.
rules.
It's so good.
It goes on for so long.
It is very long, but it's.
I started to sing along. I
still-
mean, fuck it.
Yeah, we saw the whole ceremony. We saw like the songs.
They
and-
have a special seat for special guests who who are technically prisoners.
And then later they thanked them for participating in the ceremony.
I know.
What?
It's like they.
You guys are fucking nuts.
The telepaths are expecting that just sitting in the presence of the big gold atomic bomb, that these two random people are going to be like, oh, we're believers now.
Yeah.
He just says the same thing over and over. He's like, we worship the bomb. There's like nothing new from the information.
I love the fat telepath. Oh, he's so big. Yeah, and they've got their secret magic crystals.
This is also how Kal-El was.
I was just going to say that. It is very much like Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah,
technology.
you got the rocket. They're going to put Charlton Heston in it and sent my only son.
Yeah. They have these, basically the crucifixes that they wear on their necks are like, they don't have, it's like a rocket, but it's got like the wings up top, so it's like a crucifix without very long arms.
It's just a picture of the rocket, I thought.
But it's definitely, if it was just a picture of the rocket, they would have the fins in the bottom of the rocket.
Oh.
But
It definitely, when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's the shape of the bomb. That's like what they're.
Yeah, but look at it there. It looks like a crucifix.
Yeah.
With just like slightly shorter arms.
Jaw feel.
And then when they take their funky faces off, I like that there's not really, I appreciate that there's not really much of a reaction from Fake Taylor and Nova. Like, it's like at this point they're beyond being shocked by anything. It's like, I would be like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? Look at you guys got crazy prude faces. But instead they're like, oh, this. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
I mean,
what next?
To be fair, he took to 8 people pretty quickly.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. He's been far less shocked by all of this.
Plus they're in like a boring church ceremony. I think at some point, if you're not part of a church and you go to a long, boring church ceremony, you have the tendency to kind of mentally check out.
Yeah, you think they just don't really notice. They're like, hey, do these people look different to you? I sort of think I dozed off during the Eucharist.
Yeah,
and,
Nova's asleep with her eyes open.
I think it has a lot to do with the timing of when this scene occurs in the film. It feels more like it would have been a good halfway point if we had focused more at the underground.
I just realized that his reaction of shock also looks kind of like he's trying to stifle a yawn. He's like,
kind of looks like he's got to take a dump.
He's trying to be polite. He's like, yeah, this is getting weird, but whatever. Oh man.
Yeah, it's just so fucking weird.
Do you think this makeup
this either?
Yeah, well,
I like this makeup.
I assume it's from like being near the atomic bomb all the time. Like it's like,
But they never put 2 and 2 together.
But how long ago did the atomic bomb go off? These couldn't. Oh, just like the radiation from the bomb that they're worshiping. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that. I thought like they were the fallout from the war like made them all like this, and this group of people have all been like this since that.
The Yul Brynner Appreciation Society.
But they clearly couldn't have been alive since the war if humans blew up the world with an atomic war.
I have a lot of questions
war.
about like why are they all the same age and there's no children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Are they sterile?
No, there are children. We just don't see them.
Oh, okay.
Because they say specifically bring the children into this area and the adults into this area when they're going to blow up the doomsday device.
So I think
They're
at the
just
time,
cave salamanders, guys. Don't overthink it.
Oh yeah, that's the lack of light, maybe.
Oh, that's true.
And
oh,
maybe
like the Descent. Have you seen Descent?
and maybe some like residual fallout. But these people clearly weren't alive for the actual nuclear war. But maybe they're in the forbidden zone, which is still irradiated. They're living underground without any light. I'm kind of talking myself into this. I do like the makeup.
yeah, I like how they're like, take your robes off. You can be naked again.
We're gonna need those robes back. Those were loners.
Yeah, they have to go back. And now we're getting to the scene where Brent finally meets Taylor, and Charlton Heston makes his glorious return from his long cigarette break.
I was surprised, like when he just shows up for that brief cameo at the beginning, where it's like explaining his disappearance, how he got separated from Nova. I was like, oh, okay, so that's what they paid him to do this. But then he disappears ambiguously, and it's implied that he discovered this secret underground society, and I didn't know if they were going to bring him back or not. And I thought, oh, maybe they'll bring him back for like a brief shot at the end. I was surprised how much of this fucking movie he's in, because he gets a few huge scenes, and then he is like the last man standing in the world.
This almost feels like we're watching Lord of the Rings, like the disparity of their height. Like he's like a giant, and he's a fucking hobbit.
Yeah,
over here.
which Fast Furious movie was it with the Rock and Vin Diesel with the weird lineup.
Oh yeah, because they had to make them look like they're the same size.
Oh my god,
Why?
so good.
Why does Taylor know who Brent is? They were back in the astronaut school together.
Yeah, they were astronaut buddies.
Because
right.
plot.
Okay.
He's like, you're Brent, right?
Yeah.
Was he not the?
You were a freshman when I had graduated several years earlier.
I banged your sister several times.
She was a buxom woman with a not so great face. Am I right?
Yeah, that's her.
I was very drunk in my defense, but I guess, whatever.
Okay, say what
That's
you want.
what they talk about in this. in this telepath prison.
Let's make this quick, Brent. We don't have much time. Remember that time that me and your sister were doing shots? It got a little out of hand, and, well, she gave me a blowy in the bathroom.
I haven't washed my left hand since.
Man, this telepath is missing the whole fight scene. He's got his eyes closed.
Yeah.
This fight scene is sick. Say what you want about this movie, but this fight scene, they're really
It goes on a little long.
Yeah, it goes on way
And it's
long.
all like the bad, did they choreograph it themselves, like jump kicks and crotch punches.
Planet of the UFC.
Yeah, there are multiple. I think he just kicked him in the nuts there. There are multiple crotch shots in this. They are not above hitting each other right in the
I like the setting. I think that adds a lot.
Yeah, the
cage.
spiky cage.
Spike
wall.
cage.
According to Mort Abrams in the documentary, these two really didn't like each other in real life, and so that they were
There's
really
another nut punch if you're
Going
counting
at
at home.
That's why
More.
they're aiming
Can I
for
punch
this
him in the
crowd.
nuts again?
Oh yeah, it looks really real. More nut punches, the better.
Thanks.
Nothing personal, pal, but I got the green light for the nut punch.
Get your nuts off me, you damn
Lord.
I like how this guy's like, this isn't violent enough. Give him a weapon. And the weapon is just part of the cage.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. He throws him into the wall and it busts a hole in one of the walls of this secure cage. And later, when they're trying to get out of the cage with this weapon, none of them thinks, hey, maybe we should just bust more holes in this weak-ass wall that I cracked open with your body.
It seems like, and the wall, everything falls apart easily when they hit it.
It doesn't seem like a
it
good
seems like
cage.
that was the plan, and then maybe they changed it at the last second.
Even if you look at the hole in the wall, it looks like there's a bigger ring around it, where it's like a breakaway. And I don't know. I don't know what happened.
They shot the scene where they hit the wall, and there was just some crew member standing there, like, what the fuck?
And they're like, oh
scrapped
no,
the whole
we
thing.
blew it.
I agree, but I do think the real problem is just why would you let the door to the cage shut again when you just used it to kill a guy?
It's
Huge
very
problem.
frustrating. Oh, here we go. Taylor!
And then he's like, what? Bash him with that thing. He goes, he gets bashed and spiked and sandwich spiked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then
blood
and-
came out of his mouth right there. That was
Yeah,
cool.
there should have been way more blood here, but also you don't let
No,
the door.
what the hell?
Yeah, don't let the door swing open. In fact, you should keep on pressing him into the door until he's really good and dead. Because he's got telepathic powers. You can't risk him being alive.
Yeah, he's got to be all the way dead.
I forgot to point
You
out
could
the
be
scene
telepathing him
earlier
right now.
when Zira saves him from the back of the wagon, and she's like, "I have to double lock this door."
Yeah.
It's like, what does double lock?
It means
The low-level military guerrillas seem like they might be kind of dumb.
They're like, well, it's a chimp, and they usually know what they're talking about.
She's
even if they
saying
are
that
dirty
she's doing
peace nicks.
something. Yeah. Dirty peace nicks.
Brent, how could you let this happen? But it was you.
Brent, you haven't been banging my woman, who is also the only woman, have you?
What's up with Charlton Heston's shirt, though? It's like a jacket tied together with a string at the very top.
Yeah, it's both not what the telepaths wear and not what the humans wear. It's
And
its
not
own-
what he was
it's its own
wearing when he
thing.
got caught.
Yeah, exactly.
So they gave it to him. Did he ask for it to look like this? Or they?
I think he probably brought this from home.
Is this
This
a
is
standard prison issue?
This is like Heston was like, all right, I'll do the movie, but I'm wearing my own clothes.
just like the sequel to Blade Runner.
Yeah.
These are my clothes.
Just gonna,
Having said all that, it's a good look. Honestly.
yeah, well, I'm not complaining.
Charlton Heston is hairier than an ape down there.
Omega. I was in a film called The Omega Man.
I was
the last.
I am the.
I was the last man on Earth there too.
It's the reason why I'm only in half of this piece of crap.
Yeah, I love this this super late reveal of like, oh yeah, it's not just an atomic bomb, it's the last bomb, the only bomb.
It's the only bomb that could kill this movie.
Yeah,
Cobalt casing, dear Lord.
yeah.
My-
Is
I
that
think my
accurate?
Heston's- I
Is
think my
Cobalt
Heston's-
react differently to?
I have no. It's a whatever. It's a doomsday
Fusion or
device. Let's not
fission
get too into the weeds
Okay.
about it. I think my Heston's getting better though, just in time for the last appearance. It keeps sticking
Right.
out. Yeah.
It's okay. He could narrate the other films.
Yeah. You know, I think of Calculon from Future.
I just think of Phil Hartman all the time.
Soylent White. It's people.
No. We've been typing on it.
A subterranean passage. It's just like a hole that you would find like in any of those rocks that they're.
Dr. Zayas, I don't want to second guess you here, but there's holes all over the fucking place.
And there's a subterranean passage in there.
There's so many subterranean passages.
These guys are just watching movies over here.
They're
It's so
watching the
meta
flat
that they're
screen.
watching the movie.
Let's get the bomb.
They're like, I don't know who cut this, but it's a little slow. It's starting to drag.
I mean, we're right up at the end now, so
Yeah, you want to? Should we start?
Yeah, we
summarizing
should probably.
our
I mean,
thoughts?
God knows, I think we don't have anything else to talk about.
I'll go first. I went last time.
Sure.
There's
there's that fucking bus painting again.
yeah,
It gets worse every time I see it.
yeah, it's bad. I remember this movie being more fun when I was a kid, and I think, like, if you're 13 years old, like, this movie is sick. It's really got it all for your 13-year-old brain.
Prudy telepaths, apes,
Cool
giant
pajama
phallic bomb.
clothes, silly ape masks.
Yep. Everything but boobs.
Yeah, really. And like the hint of sex is there. Like she's half naked throughout the whole thing, but
And a couple naked gorillas.
Yeah, well, the sauna scene is kind of a highlight.
yeah, the Charlton Heston double. I mean,
I guess there's bars in that hole in the wall, so the wall's reinforced, so maybe that's why. Maybe it was never intended to be an escape. I don't know. I still think it's stupid that they let the door close and just to pry it open. It seems like they're just stalling at that point. They're like, well, we got a lot of movie left. These guys can't get out immediately.
yeah, that was way too easy.
Yeah.
At least someone should have come like let them out. Like
Technically, that isn't even a
Zira
thing to
or
pry stuff with. You know, it's like not a good pry.
this is
bar.
ridiculous too. How Nova dies. They're just let's
Oh, yeah.
stand here and get shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really dumb. They like hide,
Oh,
and they're like, "Phew, we're safe," and then immediately get.
They
shot.
make it like, the 3 feet, and they almost get caught, and then they immediately walk back down and then get caught.
this right here.
So dumb.
Like obviously there's someone there. They're just standing there. They don't do anything.
And the only person he shoots is the unarmed woman who's running away from him, and not the two guys
With
that are
weapons.
standing right next to him that brain him immediately.
And
Oh
she
my
dies
God.
with no blood, even though she got shot several times. Nova, we hardly knew ye.
Oh,
Yeah, I think this movie has some interesting ideas, but ultimately it feels slapped together, and it's like, I don't know. I think its big detriment is that Charlton Heston wasn't the star throughout the entire movie, and it's almost like it both saves it and ruins it. With him being in it as much as he is, it's like a reminder of like what could have been, and also like cool that he's there. You know what I'm saying? The guys being mutants in my mind is like a cooler reveal than it actually was this time watching it. It's like, okay, big deal. Like they were trying to go for that like same Statue of Liberty moment in the first movie, and it like doesn't quite work here. However, I think the ending of this movie is cool, and like, how dare they go there kind of a thing. It's like they just blow everything up, like it means nothing. It's all, everyone's dead. But it kind of works, and they cleverly, made another movie after this.
The greatest trick the devil ever played.
Yeah, and we'll go into it more as we progress into the series. But I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to cover this series is because it's one of the most cohesive franchises for what it is. Like, it does kind of, spoilers. It comes a little full circle, and like it's really well thought out. And it's like these are B movies, and it feels like they're just churning them out. But at the same time, there is like a higher power, like the idea is like really thought out, which is interesting. And I feel like franchises don't really do that anymore. It's like, they always kind of drop the ball, or like a new director comes in and changes something, and it's like it loses the cohesion a little bit. It's like kind of rare to get a franchise that is as cohesive as this one is. Lord of the Rings is like the only thing I could think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, but that at least that has something to draw from. I think the thing about this film is it's bursting with ideas that don't quite gel.
Mm-hmm.
I think we remember it more for its audacity rather than its execution, and it kind of plays out what the Planet of the Apes could be. Although I liked what you were suggesting about making it a travel log. You could have gone all around and didn't have to be apes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why in the follow up they were like, okay, we've seen the planet. Now we're going to push the story further in a different direction. So, I mean, this film is like a way to sort of, it's a little of a bit of a greatest hits tour. It's a little bit of like trying to one up whether or not it was successful, the original's shocking highs. But I don't dislike this movie. It just feels more of I like what it was going for.
Yeah.
More than what it is.
Exactly. It's like something in the execution isn't quite there. And it's like clearly troubled in the casting, and like you got these two guys. I don't know. It's just weird that the two of them are there now. Like, I'm happy that Charlton Heston's there, but I'm sad that the other guy is there now. But then his death scene is pretty fucking awesome.
He gets
see it.
ripped up with a machine gun.
It's almost cruel to the viewer. It's like, okay, we've been introduced to this character and told to like enjoy his presence. Like, this is the guy we've been following the whole movie, and then he gets this brutal, like almost cruel death. It's like, okay, fuck you, audience.
And also at that point, Heston's already like mortally wounded on the ground, so it's like, oh my god, all the guys are dying. And then by the time he blows it up, it's kind of like, oh, cool, good. I'm happy because nobody good survived anyways.
Right, exactly. Anyway, I think it's interesting, and it's it's a fun movie. It's a little slow in parts, but the imagery is cool, and it's like a strong piece to this puzzle, and you gotta kind of watch it in order to get the sense of the rest of it. But yeah, I think it's a solid 5-er. I'll give this 5 Timothy Dolphins.
Two opposing reactions over here. I said not enough.
Do you want to
Jacob
go?
Says that's a lot.
Do you want,
I mean, that's at least a pod.
Well, is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead
this
and
movie's
balance
great.
out that 5.
It's spectacular from start to finish. I think when Matt said, like, if you see this movie for the first time when you're like 13 or whatever, it's like amazing. I'm pretty sure I saw it like as a teenager or whatever. My first reaction to this movie, I just loved it. I think you said like the audacity of it to like kill everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I was already like really caught up in the audacity of like the choices they made up to that point. I was like, what? And like, I don't know, when you're younger, like you haven't seen all the movies that make like big choices to like finish the film, where they'll say like, we'll kill this character, or we'll like end this part of the story that's like really important or whatever, and this is just, they just went like so big with this. And I don't know, like it's just like all this stuff that's bad, like the bad matte paintings and the masks and stuff like that, it just doesn't bother me. It's part of the charm. I don't know. It's just really fun. So what else should I say? My score?
Yes, please.
Yes.
This is your first episode?
Where are we? What are we doing here? What is this thing in my hand? I think I'm going to say 7 or 8. I'm gonna say 7.5.
No half. So annoying. Be decisive. Be committed to your decision.
I decided to go right in between two numbers.
No, that is not a decision. That's very wishy-washy. Jacob, would you like to go or should I?
I was going to go for 69% Dolphins.
Nice.
Well, just because I think I already kind of gave my outro a little early. I'm gonna give it 7 Timothys. It's a solid effort.
Solid.
All right. There were parts of this that I thought were fun. I like the general's reaction. I like the general in general. I'm a big fan of the general of
Generally
the apes.
speaking.
Yeah, the gorilla general, the gorilla. And I also liked the ending. I like the makeup on the telepaths. I think they did a lot of stuff that was interesting. One of my biggest complaints with the original movie was that it seemed like it had a lot of big ideas, but it really didn't. And it had a whole center section where it was like trying to explore this idea of like, you know, man's place in the universe and, you know, what we owe to animals and what if, you know, like, I don't know. It's got like, it touches on big ideas, but it doesn't actually ever explore them. This one is even more scattershot, even more all over the place, has even less to say. And, you know, it just is so like you said, kind of slapped together.
Sounds like we got a 10 coming.
And yet like and it's not disqualifying because honestly, like, you know, like I said, I like The Exorcist too, but holding it to that kind of terrible sequel that is still a lot of fun standards, I don't think I can give this more than 4 Timothy Dolphins.
Wow.
It's got some good points, but it's a slog and it's got a lot of stuff that just is dumb and frustrating. But could have been a better movie.
So final score.
4 Timothy Dolphins.
It's doomsday.
All right, Jacob, tell us what you got going on. Thanks for doing this.
Well, aside from this fantastic podcast, thank you again for having me on. I hope you've all enjoyed my 4 billionth appearance. I would love to come back, by the way. Are you thinking about what follows Planet? You don't have to say it now. Just you got the gears turning.
We've tossed around some franchises. I know Harris really wants to do the Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Colin really wants to do the American Pie movies.
Yeah, American Pie, American Beauty,
Right, yeah, exactly. that trilogy.
American Sniper.
American in Paris.
Okay, I just watched
American Werewolf in
I
Paris.
just watched American Werewolf in Paris, and I'd
saw it
never
in the
seen it
theater.
before. Okay, I'm surprised you went to film school after that because it made me want to never watch a movie ever again. It really like broke
It was that
me.
good that you were like they've done it. They nailed it. Perfect.
I don't even know if I've
No
ever
notes.
seen a good movie in my life. When I was watching that, I was maybe film doesn't deserve to exist.
This entire
I just
medium
remember
of art
horrible-
is done.
Horrible CGI werewolves.
Oh, it hasn't improved.
And the guy who's like the main guy in it, he's from
Yeah.
something. He's like I don't know. Who's the main guy in it?
Isn't it the guy who's in all those like for a time he was like the guy they cast as like the generic nice college age guy for a lot of things. I can't remember his name.
Val Kilmer.
Exactly. No, Colin's got his future choices narrowed down to like 13 or 14 now, and he will dither about for. We got time.
I'm thinking about Twilight, which I've never seen all of.
Wait, who picks the what?
I'm up next.
It's
Oh, Harris
Harris.
is
Twilight. I only meant to stay. Okay, so what I got going on? Well, right now we're in the month of October, and at the end of the month, my band Qbomb, which I play the guitar in and write some of their songs, we're releasing our first album, Hyperpunk. Nice. So we're going to be doing a big album release show on the 30th, and you'll be able to stream and purchase Hyperpunk starting then.
Can I buy it on vinyl?
Actually, there is a vinyl planned. I've been like banging that drum for years. I was like immediately like, Gene, you're gonna put it on vinyl, and then we're all gonna sign the vinyl.
It would be funny
and then I'm gonna sell it on eBay.
It would be funny if there was no one named Gene associated with this. I just keep on saying it, and nobody responds.
Well, it's like Vern to what's his name, Ernest.
To his credit, he calls himself Izzy Deluxe when he's in the band, and Gene when he's outside.
I just like the idea of Jacob sitting at home, like working on his computer in his office, and occasionally yelling out, "Gene, we've got to get this album on vinyl." And there's nobody there.
Harris, I'm pretty bad with names, but I'm not sure I'm that bad.
You know what I mean, Gene?
Yeah, so that's what I've been working on.
Nice.
Exciting stuff.
Very exciting. Well, cool. Well, yeah, thanks again for coming out in person. This is your first in-person show.
Oh my God, I know. I love it.
Breathing our COVID germs all over each other.
Hey, I am thrice boosted, my friends.
I was going to ask. You got the Band-Aid on your arm.
Mm-hmm.
I got to make.
I don't just put that on for fun.
I've got to get a flu shot too because I hate getting sick in winter. I didn't realize that flu shots actually prevented the flu until just a couple years ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I can not get the flu every winter. I'll just do that then.
Did you know one of the major strains of flu actually went extinct?
Oh, that's
over
good.
the last couple of years. It is good unless one of them becomes even more powerful.
Yeah.
And the balance is shifted.
Are there any conservation groups trying to like prevent the extinction of like
No.
When you say you didn't know what, are you saying you didn't know what the flu shot did?
Did you think it gave you the flu?
Yeah.
I kind of just thought like if it really was that effective, then everyone
Look at these fools all standing in line to get the flu.
They should call it the fool shot.
I thought if it was that effective, that everyone would get it. And then I realized that I was part of the problem, and I solved that. I've changed my ways. So everybody, get your flu shots.
That's right.
Oh, so you like kind of thought it was placebo? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of. I just didn't think it made that big of a difference. And I looked at the numbers, and I was like, oh yeah, this is actually a way to not get the flu, which I like. I like not getting the flu. It's one of my favorite things is to not get the flu. One of my favorite negatives.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was trying to do like a chimney joke, but I can't.
I like that you ground the wheels there for a while, just trying to
I
figure
didn't
out.
ground there. That was like a whole train wreck in my head.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, you got this, Colin. Chimneys got flus. Get it. Let's go."
Colin is sweeping.
We just had like one of those Simpsons moments where the camera like zooms into Homer's head and it's like two monkeys like eating bugs off each other. And then one gets distracted by something and it runs away and Colin's like, oh, I don't know what I was gonna say.
Sounds like, oh, never mind.
Tremopoline.
All right, do we have any final thoughts on this glorious film?
I hope the next one's better. Yay.
Don't worry, it's not.
You guys might say you saw the smoke on that chimney joke, but there was no fire.
Okay, we're done.
That's a great and terrible way to go out.
And thus the lawgiver spoketh. We are done.
Lawgiver.
Peace.
Thanks, everybody, for listening, and please remember to rate, review, and subscribe if you like listening to us talk about your favorite film franchises. As always, thank you to Chris Morocco for banging out another classic remix for this series. And also, please remember to subscribe to our Patreon for just $1 measly a month over at www.patreon.com/L2W. That's www.patreon.com/L2W. Help support the podcast by joining, and you get instant access to over 50 bonus shows that feature us covering non-franchise classics and so much more for every single month. Again, that website to join is www.patreon.com/L2W. License to Watch is a part of the Fandom Limb Podcast Network, so please be sure to check out some of their other awesome shows, and please be sure to join us again soon for Escape from the Planet of the Apes.